There are heightened concerns around the country and here in San Diego about the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration. Joining us now to talk more about that is Tammy Lin, who teaches immigration law at the University of San Diego and also has a huge caseload. So, Tammy, we know you're very busy. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us in studio tonight and answer some questions. So, new numbers released this week by the Deportation Data Project, this is according to the Union Tribune, show that from January to June of this year, ICE's San Diego field office made 1,042 arrests compared to a much smaller number, 600 last year. And so how does that compare to what you've seen?
Oh, it's certainly what we're seeing, things going viral with the arrests at the courthouse. These are folks that doing everything right, going to their court dates, getting their cases heard. They're arresting them on the spot over there. They're picking them up in these raids that we've been seeing throughout the county and other parts of the state. So it's not surprising that the numbers are so high.
We also have some data from that project that says just over 50% of people who've been arrested so far this year in San Diego had no criminal activity, no criminal convictions, and that about 48% of people did have criminal convictions or had pending charges. But compared to last year, when almost 75% of people who were arrested had criminal charges or pending cases. But our producer, Dorian Hargrove, and the numbers that you've seen from ICE show that arrests of non-criminals are happening at a much faster pace. Talk about that.
So I think this is what happens when there is a quota that's put on our local ICE officers. I think they want to do, 3,000 a day nationally, everything like that. So they're going for the low-hanging fruit that they said they weren't going to go after. They're going after the ones that don't have criminal records, that are going to court. I think what people don't seem to understand is when someone is undocumented, they're in jail for a crime, they usually go immediately to ICE detention right after that. So the people they're picking up are not folks that typically have criminal records. I've seen it as high as, I think nationally, 60% of people.
60%.
Yeah.
And what legal rights do these people have?
You know, I think that's what we're kind of very much concerned with right now because of the infringement of due process rights. Again, I think the most shocking thing, I've been practicing for almost 20 years, are the arrests at the courthouse. And these families, these folks that are there, folks coming through their ICE check-ins, they're waiting for their cases to be done. Even clients who have pending green card applications and other types of forms of relief seem to not be immune to just being potentially rounded up and detained.
Because these are arguably people that are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to show up for their court cases. They're trying to check in with the process, and then they're getting detained. If they don't show up, then
well, yeah, if they don't show up, there's a
cause for
mechanism. There's an automatic deportation order that gets put into effect. And I think what people need to realize, it's not cheap to detain all these people. It's about $152 a day per person. These are stats from February 2025 from Department of Homeland Security itself, versus $4.20 or so just to do ankle monitoring or any type of alternative to detention.
So you have clients, you've seen people who've gotten detained, no criminal charges, their cases pending. What has happened to some of them? If you can give us some examples, are they eventually released?
They're basically in very deplorable conditions right now. I think just with track, Syracuse University just released some numbers saying that most of the detention facilities are over capacity by 400 to 1,000 people. We're hearing stories about people, lack of food, lack of ability to, they have to sleep on the floor, things like that. And oftentimes they're in this weird limbo. So the attorneys, myself and my colleagues, we are trying to figure out how we can get them out of there or the next step, especially when they already had pending court cases. And oftentimes they're there for weeks. I have 2 Cuban clients have pending green card applications. They were stopped at a checkpoint. Typically, before this administration, they have a pending case, they would not be detained. CBP took them and they've been in detention since April.
Have you had any clients released, or have they all been, they're all detained and held?
It's very hard to get them out once they're in. And also we're just waiting oftentimes to have them go before a judge to potentially get them out again. So again, that story I told you about the 2 Cuban clients, they had court a year ago. Their cases were dismissed because they were eligible for a green card.
Green cards.
And then they got rearrested, they were put in detention, and now $152 a day per person since April, when they had no criminal record of any sort and they're eligible for something.
So just last thoughts, we only have about 30 seconds. What if people who are here trying to go through the process the right way, legally, are concerned about what happens next.
I think they really need to talk to an immigration attorney, someone that will be there to give them the pros and cons of maybe moving forward with their case and the strategy of what they're going to do. Because we're also, it's very scary. We're seeing them being arrested, going to their interviews to try to fix their papers. And even just today, a family friend, her mother is a U.S. citizen, was doing court observation downtown at the immigration courts and was arrested.
Okay. So get in touch with an immigration attorney, perhaps, so that at least you can have a contact if something should happen.
Yeah.
Tammy Lin, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insight.
Yep.